Hello! Over the next few weeks we're going to look at some people in the Bible who were prophets. Do you remember what a prophet is? That's right, it's someone who hears very clearly from God and passes on that prophecy or message. Now, there are many prophets mentioned in the Bible, mainly in the Old Testament. That's a record of what God said and did, and a history of his people before Jesus was born. So, it's a long time ago. Can you see some of the stories that Helen's been telling you? Well, today we're going to look at a prophet called Deborah. Now, she lived in the land of Israel. Not 1,000 years ago, not 2,000 years ago, but over 3,000 years ago. Now, many years before that, Moses had led the people out of Egypt. They did wander around a little bit because they turned away from God during the 40 years that they were in the desert. Now, Moses didn't cross into the promised land, but Joshua did, and he led the people into Canaan. And then they all separated out into different areas. Now, unfortunately, long after Joshua had died, the people turned away from God. And there were many battles fought amongst all the different people. Now, at the time, the king was called Jabin, and he was very, very cruel and horrible, and he didn't follow God. And his commander of the army was called Sisera. Now, the people were very frightened of them and cried out to the Lord, asking for help. Now, Deborah was a prophet and a judge. She didn't wear a robe or a wig or use a hammer that's called a gavel or say, "Order, order, order." No, she used to sit under a palm tree. People would come and ask for her help to make the right decisions. Now, one day, Deborah very clearly heard from God. She listened to what he said and sent for a man called Barak. She told him, "The Lord has said, get 10,000 men and fight Sisera's army at the river Kishon. Although he's more soldiers and 900 chariots, you will win the battle." Now, Barak was a bit frightened at first and told Deborah that he'd do it if she would come into battle with them. Now, Deborah agreed because she trusted the Lord and knew that they would defeat Sisera's army. So Deborah, Barak and their men all gathered together at the top of Mount Tabor. And when they saw Sisera's army down by the river and all the chariots, Deborah said, "Go, the Lord is leading you." So they attacked, and the Lord made Sisera and his army confused, and they tried to run away. But Sisera's whole army was killed, including Sisera, though he had tried to hide in a tent. King Jabin was also destroyed. Deborah and Barak sang a song of praise to the Lord. And then there was peace in the land for 40 years. So that's the story of Deborah in the book of Judges, chapters 4 and 5. Now, hopefully, let's put this down, you've had a little booklet through the post like this. It's got Deborah's name on and it's got a little outline. Maybe you could draw a picture of her And then inside there are some questions. Now you should find the answers in the story that I've just told you. Then maybe you could draw a picture of Deborah sitting under a palm tree. Then on the back page it says, what other things have you found out about Deborah? So maybe the other things that I may have mentioned in the story, or things that you might find out elsewhere. You could write or draw pictures on this back piece of paper. Okay, that's all for now. I'll see you again next week. Bye.